Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Horse Center. It's Wednesday already. I'm going to miss you guys, but we've got a great show for you tonight to close out the week here. I'm Wild Jamie, and with me is my amazing co-host, Swiss Army Sean. Could not do it without him. And our special guest tonight is someone very special indeed. We have multiple graded stakes winning jockey and also the winner of the Comeback Jockey Award not too long ago, David Cohen. David, welcome to the show. Oh, can you hear us? I don't think he can hear us. Oh, hold on. Let me text him. Every once in a while this happens.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's odd.
Yeah. All right. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. We will get this straightened out. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it only happens to the guest.
I know. It never happens to us.
But like technically I'm a guest too because I don't have, you send me the link. So I'm surprised it doesn't happen to us, but it always happens to the guest.
I know. Oh, there we go. Can you hear us, David?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I just gave you this wonderful introduction that you missed, but I just talk about what a fabulous career you've had and how excited we are to talk to you. So now you're all caught up.
Well, very good. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited. Thank you.
Yes. So, David, we actually spoke very briefly before we went live, and we were talking about how you are a Southern California boy. So I'm not sure how you handle that Kentucky weather, but I know you grew up in the industry. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and growing up around racing in Southern California.
Yeah, well, first to handle this Kentucky weather, because I spent almost 10 years racing in New York. So for Kentucky, this is beautiful.
Right.
But yeah, so how my introduction into the sport, my father was a longtime owner and breeder for 35, almost 40 years in Southern California. And that was my foot in the door. I started out going to equine medical school and before even hitting the backside. And once I did, I learned from the ground up, grooming horses, hot walking. Then I progressed to learning all the feed and medication. Went with the shoer assistant for a few months, was a vet's assistant for a few months, and progressed into being a trainer's assistant. And that was all before ever riding a horse in my life.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and I was blessed enough to have some great people behind me. And, by that time I had about 2-3 years of horsemanship underneath me. And my father had roughly about 20 mares each year that he was breeding. So about 20 babies on the ground each year.
Wow.
So I had enough knowledge in horsemanship to learn how to break babies. And that's how I learned how to ride, was by breaking babies. And I'll tell you, they broke me more than I broke them.
I bet. Oh, my goodness. Well, that's amazing. I had no idea that you did all of that. I knew your dad was a trainer, but wow, that is quite the background. Amazing.
Yeah, and then the riding just kind of took off. And, once I found a love for that, and that was more so to be able to just know every position of the industry. Once I started working horses out of the gate and kind of getting that taste for being a jockey, I really zeroed down on it. I was an athlete my whole life growing up, so it's kind of natural that I focused in on that type of aspect of the sport, and just been blessed ever since to be able to do it and make a life riding horses for a living.
Yes, absolutely. I saw that. I saw that you were very proficient at speed skating, hockey, baseball. You did a little bit of everything. So, like you said, not surprising that you really honed in on the riding. So, before you started riding, did you consider maybe a career in training or veterinary medicine or something like that?
I was looking down those roads, even maybe bloodstock agent. I always went to the sales growing up, so I really enjoyed that aspect. But training, I would say, was probably my more focus. And honestly, I gave riding a shot because if I didn't make it as a rider, it would only help me that much as a trainer. And that was kind of why I got into wanting to learn how to ride horses anyways, is just to be able to get on my own horses, evaluate them, and know if something's wrong with them, and just know how to do every position that I should know how to do.
Yes, absolutely. That is so cool. Okay, so you've actually had quite the career, as I mentioned in the lovely intro that you've missed, but you've been the leading rider at tons of different tracks, including Oaklawn, Philadelphia, Delaware. I mean, what's been your favorite track to ride at?
Oh wow! I mean, that's a tough question. There's so many great ones I've been to. Um, my time over in Dubai was great. That I was blessed enough to go over there and ride
Wow.
in Dubai. World Cup Day was amazing. Del Mar's amazing. Santa Anita. Obviously, we got to throw Saratoga's got to be at the top. Keeneland. Um, Oakland's amazing with the fans. That
Yeah.
again, there's so many places, but if I had to really dial in on a top two, I'd say Saratoga and Keeneland.
Oh, excellent choices. Could not agree with you more.
Yeah, yeah.
Sean agrees. He's been to Saratoga and he's like, it's great. I'm like, you don't need to go anywhere else. You've seen the best.
Well, I was laughing at too. He was picking all the warm tracks that he's been to.
Well, believe me, I wouldn't throw Aqueduct in there. As much as I love the place, it was amazing to me. The basement and riding it in the winter is not my forte, I would say. Even though I loved it, I do tend to go towards the warmer weather. Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got a comment here from Terry. Hey, you've got someone trying to hustle you here. Come and be the leading jockey at Golden Gate Field. So, hey, there's another California option for you if you want to head back closer to home sometime.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go back to the roots. Tell you
Sure.
that. But right now, I got a beautiful place in Kentucky, and we're riding the ride out right now. So.
Yeah, well, it does look lovely there, so I don't blame you. Something I just wanted to touch on briefly. A lot of people may not know that you actually are Jewish and that you are part of the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in California. And something I thought was so cool is that you were the first Jewish jockey to ride in the Kentucky Derby since the early 1970s. Like, we love to highlight diversity here at HRT. So tell us a little bit about your experience there.
Yeah, I really wasn't aware of the history and how long it's been. When I was a bug boy at Del Mar's, when I had my first year in 2003, 2004, I can't remember which year. It's been so long, right?
Right.
But they had all the Jewish Hall of Famers come in, and they brought me up to, the suites to meet them, and Hardtack and Harmath, and just all the top guys. And to learn that it's been 40 years or whatever it was since a Jewish athlete, jockey, was in not only in so it was the Derby, the Preakness, and the Haskell all in one year that I was the first Jewish jockey in since the 70s, whatever it may be.
That's crazy.
And it was just an honor. And then to even be thought of for the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame in California, let alone to be, put in there with, I think there's maybe 4 or 5 other Jewish people from horse racing total.
Okay.
So that's pretty darn amazing, I'll tell you that.
Yes, absolutely. Way to represent our sport there. We appreciate that.
Yeah. No, again, it came as a surprise and a humble honoring for me.
Yes, for sure. That's amazing. We've got a comment here from Willie Martinez. David has always been a solid rider, cool cat, and very humble. Good luck, my friend. Yep, as you said.
Really? Yeah.
Keeneland's closing up, and Keeneland's closing up. Churchill's getting ready to start. So good luck is in order as you start the next journey there.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah, hopefully we finish up. I got a couple good mounts the next couple of days, and again, you always like to finish up strong and then go into the new meet with some momentum.
For sure.
No, we brought up the Triple Crown, and that's actually what we did the article on 2 years ago, was keep me in mind going into the Preakness. I just found it. So, yeah.
Yes,
so talk about that horse and that experience a little bit.
Well, he was a great horse. The connections were extremely loyal. And so it was very nice to take a horse from a maiden win, which was actually in a graded stakes place, which coincidentally enough, his sire Loban broke his maiden in a graded stakes race as well. So it's
Wow.
kind of like cool little coincidence there. Um, but it was a nice home team that I was involved with, and again, another great experience to just be a part of. Um, my wife is from Kentucky, born and raised in Oldham County. She's been going to the Derby, probably 25 years or whatever it may be. And so to be able to let her experience that along with me was very special.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And now you said about Keeneland and Cherry. Are you also going to Horseshoe Indianapolis as well?
I may ship in there from time to time. It all depends on the supporters that from Kentucky if they ship horses over there. But as far as like holding my tack there, no. But it's definitely a great place to. It's about hour and a half, 2 hours away, so it's very reasonable. Similar distance away from Ellis Park during the summertime. So naturally, if the opportunity arises, I'll pretty much go anywhere.
As long as it's warm.
That's it. Yeah.
Stay away from that New York scene.
So you mentioned about getting started. Were there any jockeys that really took you under your wing and helped you out as well?
That's a great question. I was blessed to start out in an entire jockey colony full of Hall of Famers. We're going back again to the early 2000s in Southern California. Mike Smith, Corey Nakatani, David Flores, Patrick Valenzuela, Alex Solis. I can keep going. Garrett Gomez. I can go down the line. So, again, Chris McCarron, Lafitte Pinkai was a great mentor of mine. Known him as a very young age. So I was extremely blessed to not only have them as mentors, but be riding day to day with them. Again, that was something that I tried to pass along to younger riders, and my blessings of riding in that type of colony is that something that, again, I try to pass down to riders that may not have that benefit to be around those type of riders.
Who were some younger riders that you really got to help?
Any bug boys I try to help. It may be, I'm not really anyone that I've taken under my wing per se, but if they're in your corner and they're around you, as long as they're willing to listen and they're wanting to learn, which I would say majority of them are, the entire jockeys room pretty much tries to help. So it's definitely a major effort upon the entire jocks room to help out younger riders.
Do you think that's changed over the years at all? Do you think younger people have come in with the same willingness, or have they been a little bit more thick-headed as we've gotten through the years?
No, I think anyone that I've really met or dealt with, they're again, I'm blessed to ride at some great circuits, and I think the younger riders are aware of the circuit they're riding on and the caliber of racing that they're at, so they're wanting to learn. And I definitely think there's a great willingness of younger riders that are really wanting to learn as much as they can.
Nice. And now you've been riding wild. I always ask this for people that have been a veteran. How did the whip rules affect you?
You know what? Really, not so much.
Okay.
I may have been known as a more aggressive finisher, but I think it really brings out the best in riders, and some guys can kind of get maybe a little overcarried with it. I don't think it's needed as much as you may think. Sometimes horses may not be able to brought to their full potential because they're older horses and they're used to a certain type of finish on a horse and a certain type of encouragement. But as far as for younger riders, I think it's helping them not be so much all over a horse per se, and utilize the basics of picking a horse's head up and finishing strong with a hand ride.
Oh, I love that take. That's awesome. We got a comment here that's pretty great. David rode for me when I was training in California. He was a bug boy. Glad to see that you're still doing well. Keep up the good work. I live in Kentucky now myself. This is Charles Trent. So
I remember you extremely well. Wow, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's on the betting show that we do. A lot of times he's on the Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes he's even on Monday, Tuesday.
Oh wow, amazing! Yeah, man, what memories coming through now.
Yeah. Now, David, you've had so many ups in your career, but you've also had, as I mentioned in the intro, you had a comeback award for a reason, because you did end up taking a few years off. You got kicked in the paddock at Aqueduct, I believe. Is that right? Aqueduct?
That is it. Beautiful Aqueduct. Yes.
Yes. Broke your leg and had a long time coming back from that. And then you also had some setbacks in your personal life that kind of just delayed your comeback. And we also love to talk about mental health here and the constant stress that you guys are under in this business, constantly being criticized. You know, when it's a win, it's always because of the horse. If there's a loss, it's always because of the jockey, right? That's what everyone thinks anyway. And just dealing with all of that all the time. And then you had some personal tragedies in your own life. So talk a little bit about, you know, that time that you really took to yourself to heal and come back 100%, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, you know, it was obviously a freak accident. Unfortunate the way it happened. I mean, it wasn't the horse's fault. It was just one of those things, right? The horse never did anything bad prior and after. So again, don't blame the horse or the trainer. It was a first time starter, but you know, to move on from that, as far as the dynamics and the things I went through personally, you know, about roughly a year after getting injured, my father passed away, which anyone that has known me or you know, my situation, my father and I were basically best friends. Again, the reason why I was in the industry, and you know, he traveled everywhere with me. I was blessed enough to be able to bring him to Dubai when I won a race on Dubai World Cup Day. So
Awesome.
again, a lot of great memories with him, not only personally but in my career as well. And then about a year later, after that, my sister passed away. So it was a, you know, like they say, things come in threes, right? So it kind of back to back, back pretty much hit me pretty good. So physically, I was strong and I was ready to come back to racing. Mentally, I don't think I was ready yet. I basically took roughly another 6 months, um, and it was more so. Yeah, I probably could have came back and been fine, um, but just my experiences starting out, I know how much goes into getting these horses prepared. I know how much work is put in, you know, from the grooms, exercise riders, hot walkers, everyone and above. And more so importantly, the investment that the owners put into it. So I was blessed enough to have quite a bit of support returning, whether I returned 6 months prior or not. It was set up there for me, and I wanted to make sure that when I did return, that I was the best that I was able to be, and that's why I took a little extra time to get there mentally, not just physically as well.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I think it's so awesome that you did that. And I think there is so much pressure on jockeys to come back way too soon from injuries, from personal setbacks, from whatever. And this job is so difficult and so high stress. You have to be 100% both physically and mentally to perform at the level that's expected of you. So good on you that you knew your limitations and waited until you were absolutely ready. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I was blessed enough to be able to link back up with my longtime agent Bill Castle.
Great.
Put me in a great position with Robertino Diodoro, M&M Racing, and the amount of support that I received from them coming into my long layoff, I would say hiatus, you can say, right,
Yeah.
into the next several years of returning, really, you know, sprungboard me onto having great success. So again, knowing I had that amount of support behind me coming into it, I wanted to make sure I was more than 100% ready.
Wonderful. And obviously it worked because you won the 2019 Jockey Comeback of the Year. What did it mean to you to get that award?
I mean, it was amazing. Again, it was not expected. It was one of those years that it was extremely successful, not just outside of my return, but leading uh, into New York, where I returned. I was blessed enough to do extremely well. But more so than anything, that it really hit home that I was able to actually come back to riding and you know, really humbled me, that, you know, made me think about all the riders that weren't blessed enough to make it. And we just left the weekend of the PDJF, the TVG, series that, um, raising all this money for all these riders that weren't blessed enough to be able to make it back to riding.
Right.
So that really humbled me and just really make me feel, um, again, just, I hate to keep saying it, but blessed to really make it back to riding and be able to do what I love for a job and a career.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I absolutely love that. Now, this is a little bit off topic, but I couldn't help it. In researching this episode, I noticed that you do a lot of work, you and your wife together, it seems like rehoming horses, helping them find good places, maybe taking in some off track thoroughbreds yourself. And I have to admire your grooming skills because I saw a picture that she posted where you had like the little check marks going the opposite directions. I mean, that's
Oh
some
yeah,
pretty fancy stuff. So tell us a little bit about that if you don't mind.
yeah. Well, that horse was actually very special to me. I mean, he kind of brings me back to my return to racing. Um,
Okay.
I was getting on him a few times before I ever came back to racing,
Oh, gotcha.
in the morning, and really developed a love for him. He was great to me. He ended up having to be retired due to a throat issue, so no soundness issue. And we took him in, and he's my wife's horse, and again, just an amazing horse for us. And we were blessed enough that the owner, instead of, the typical thing, they can make it down. He was a high end allowance horse.
Right.
Probably would have been a nice stake horse if it wasn't for his throat. And instead
Mhm.
of sending him down the claiming ranks, and who knows where he would have went from there, they were kind enough to give him to me, and we've been great to give him a great home. And then as far as helping out rehoming horses, it's really been situations that found me, horses that I may have been involved that people have reached out about. And, these horses, they give us all a phenomenal life, whether you're a better, a handicapper, a paddock judge, a outrider, whatever it may be that you are. So anything that I can do, whether it's just working the phone or contacting people that I know that are willing to donate for a great cause, I'm more than happy to put in my time.
Oh, that's great. We love that. We love advocates for the horses and the jockeys. So you're making me and Sean's day. I can tell you that much.
Absolutely. And that next question I was going to ask, and I know it's like picking children, but what are some of the favorite horses that you've gotten to ride?
I get that question a lot. It's not always the best horse I've ever been on per se, right? But the one that we have, Infinity Squared, he's amazing. It's obviously I'd have to go with the Keep Me in Mind is amazing. He put me in the Derby. Golden Ticket to win the Travers for.
Yeah.
Another horse that is really special to me, Proud Tower 2. We're going back to 2006. He was my first major stake race at a major racetrack, my first grade one, or my
Oh,
first
wow.
graded stake race, my first grade one, my first international grade one. So
Wow.
he really hit like a lot of home. For me. So he's definitely one of those horses that are extremely special to me.
And he's your top earner by 3 times the second horse that's your top earner. So
Oh, there you go.
I would imagine. I mean, and so uh, anyone that knows the Ragusan sheets, he was running like -1s, zeros. I mean, he was just an extremely fast horse. So
Yeah.
he was to be able to link up with him only a couple years into my career was just amazing and pretty much unheard of.
wow.
Very cool. Now you mentioned Golden Ticket. Something very interesting happened to you with Golden Ticket. How about that dead heat finish? Did you
Yeah,
think you had it, or did you think you lost, or did you not know?
you know what? I knew I had. Um, I should say I knew my horse had his head down at the right time, so I had the bob in my favor.
Yeah.
That I knew for sure. Um, but then on the gallop out, you never know, right? And the outrider kind of pulled up and went to the other horse, Alpha and Ramon Dominguez. So I was kind of like, well, I guess I got beat. It is what it is at that point.
Yeah.
And then a second later, and I was kind of headed back to get them saddled. And a second later, they called me back. So I'm thinking, okay, well, we may have a chance here. It's got to be pretty close. And so when they called the dead heat, for me, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Again, was in amazing company, and couldn't have picked better connections to share a dead heat within the Travers with.
Yeah.
That brings
was
up a
pretty
question.
Incredible.
That brings up a question too, because you said gallop out, and that's a big thing with bettors. How important do you really think the gallop out is?
Well, I guess it kind of depends on if you're looking for, a betting aspect of a horse that is running short that needs to go long, and you're looking at that. Sometimes you can't really see the true gallop out if you're not there in person. The replays don't show it. But more so in the morning time, when it comes to workouts, the gallop out means everything. Doesn't matter what that last eighth is. There's rarely any 5/8 half-mile races. So if they don't have a strong gallop out, that will tell you a whole lot about the fitness and the abilities of a horse.
Yeah, it's not a question I've ever asked before, but it's comes up with bettors all the time. So I figured jockeys would know more of that. I felt like it kind of, like you kind of said, it depends on the horse and kind of the situation as well.
Yeah.
So, David, considering this amazing career that you've had, how long you've been in the business through all of these ups and downs, what would be your best advice to someone who's just getting started in the industry?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say, just be humble, work hard, save your money, and again, just be prepared for the ups and downs. It's not a matter of if; it's just a matter of when. Unfortunately, and hopefully, it's nothing that's a career-ending type of situation. But if you're in riding horses long enough, you're going to come off. And again, just take as much advice from any rider that is willing to give it.
Awesome. Great advice.
So Jamie touched about that one horse with the injury. What other injuries have you had throughout your career?
I've probably broken every bone except something in my neck or back. I've broken ankles, ribs, wrist, collapsed lungs, collarbone. Yeah, plenty of injuries. That was definitely my biggest setback, getting kicked in the leg and breaking my tibia and fibula. So it took quite a bit. It took about 8 to 9 months to recover from that one.
Wow. Jockeys are built different, Sean. That's what I always say. If I break my tibia and fibula, I'm not coming back. I'm like, you guys got this.
You're not even doing horse center.
No. We got a comment here. I got to click this because he's yelling. I don't know. Tell Kenny McPeak that I said to find you a good one. He is loaded this year. I know he uses you off and on. He's a good man to ride for. I'm not sure why that's in all caps, but all right. We're gonna touch base.
I'll forward it along. Yeah. I actually got a horse that I'm riding closing day of Keeneland for him. That last year was a Derby prospect, Dash Attack.
Okay.
I won the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn Park with him. He was on a long layoff, and it kind of backs into your question about the gallop out. They ran him, I think it was opening weekend Keeneland, 3/4. So it obviously wasn't his distance. He was against some pretty strong sprinters. I think on paper he ran 6, being 10 lengths. But if you look at his gallop out, he galloped out in front of the rest of the field, 1/8 of a mile later. And I put a nice half-mile gallop out into him. So as a bettor, if you were to look at that and you were there, live that day, you may have picked that up. But on the replays, it won't show it. But I am blessed enough. Kenny is putting me on some more horses. And, that was kind of part of my reason to go into fairgrounds this year is because, unfortunately, Oaklawn Park does not transfer over to Kentucky circuit very well with trainers and horses. So in order to make Kentucky work, I opted to go to fairgrounds and was blessed enough to get back in Kenny's barn and really get some great support for him. So hopefully you get lucky and keep the momentum rolling with them.
Absolutely. We'll keep an eye out for that, won't we, Sean?
Absolutely. Are you going to have any mounts for the pre-races for like the Oaks and the Derby?
As of right now, I know as long as the races go and the horses stay healthy, I will be riding on Oaks and Derby Day. Correct. I have a horse that actually for Dallas Stewart, a filly I broke her maiden on Louisiana Derby Day. I believe she's
nice.
running on Oaks Day. And then I got a colt for Keith DeSormo that I rode in the Louisiana Derby. He'll be running in one of the undercard allowance races on Derby Day.
Oh, perfect. There we go. You've got your eye on Keith DeSormo anyway, right, Sean?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Confidence Game does with that big time layoff. What do you think of that strategy?
I think he knows what he's doing. I mean, Keith is an amazing horseman. Anyone that's spent some time around him, obviously the Sormos in themselves are pure horse, blood running through their veins. So I think he knows his horse well. He put a nice mile workout out of the gate that you really don't see people do. So I think he, again, knows his horse well and not to be cliche, but he's definitely confident in Confidence Game. I would say that.
Hey, there you go.
We welcome puns here.
Yeah, you got a spot in TV too. There you go.
I know, right? Yes. This is wonderful. You're so easy to talk to, David. I'm having a blast. I just have a couple quick questions and then we'll let you go. I know we're already at half an hour, but I could do this all night. So what is the best part of your job being a jockey?
I would say not just being able to travel and meet people, but I would say that the fans, really meeting the younger fans now. I think they're really seeing an influx of younger kids getting involved. Sure. And just being blessed to ride at a high level with some, amazing jockey colonies and the opportunities to ride, some of the best horses in the world. So I think really the opportunity to do all that and get paid for it and make a living at it is just unreal to me. And I always, I pinch myself all the time that I'm able to make a living and live my life doing this.
That's awesome. All right. Well, on the flip side of that, what is the hardest part of your job?
I'd say kind of back into what we said, the jockey's always wrong and you got to kind of live with that, sometimes you may be at fault. It's easy to make mistakes. And, as far as it, you just got to keep on moving. The ups and downs will come. It is a roller coaster ride and you just got to have confidence in yourself and keep plugging away. That's about it.
The craziest one that always gets me on social media and stuff about jockeys is when somebody wins, they say, "Oh, they let them have that," or "It was his turn to win." Everything's reality TV. Everything is. Some people legitimately think everything's scripted.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I rarely pay attention to the social media. I get.
That's
I know
smart.
People are knocking, but I think they're, not to. They bet their money. That's part of sports. If you're any type of athlete, that comes with the territory. They're yelling at you on the sidelines. In basketball, they're on the court side yelling at you. It's just part of being an athlete. So I kind of find it, for me, it's always humorous. It's entertaining. I don't take it seriously. And they bet their money, so they got the right to complain. But it's up to you to whether, I guess, you listen to it and let it bother you or not.
Well, you've got the right attitude for it because, they are brutal.
Oh, they can be brutal.
I'm on Twitter defending jockeys all the time because y'all don't defend yourselves. You just hear it all the time. You're just used to it. But I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Are you blind? All right, Sean.
And that kind of goes back to, just uneducated, not really seeing it. And obviously, when you bet on something, you see it a certain way. Right. So that's kind of the hard part about being a jockey is that when people have certain interests, and they see things the way they want to see it.
Right.
Well, I guess I'll ask, since you do have fun with it and it doesn't bother you as much. And what's the worst heckler you've ever had on track, or you really haven't had anybody like that?
Oh no, definitely. I mean, if any jockey's ever ridden in New York, you're going to hear it, right? So,
especially Aqueduct, right?
But especially Aqueduct. But in turn, you can win. You could ride a race, and they'll tell you to go back to wherever you came from, and then the next race you're the best jockey in the world if you win. So, it's the flip of the coin, and that's the great thing about sport fans is that they rock with you regardless, and they're diehard fans, but they're not afraid to give it to you and call you out when you make a mistake.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then my last question, and then we'll leave you go, is what else are your interests, and what else do you do for fun when you have the little bit of time you have not riding horses?
Right now spending a lot of time on the farm. We got a nice, beautiful farm in Kentucky, and we do layups and stall rest horses, and just really enjoy the off time and spending time with the family.
Wonderful. Yes, you guys look like you have an awesome setup there. Very happy. I'm so happy that things are going so well for you, and we really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. We know you're busy. Churchill's around the corner. You got a lot going on, so thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us today.
Kimmy, thank you for the interest, and thank you for having me. It was actually a pretty blast. I've done a few interviews here and there, in my career, but this is one of my more fun ones for sure.
Oh, we appreciate that. Well, we'll definitely have to have you back on then, because I know I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm sure Sean did too.
Absolutely.
You've been wonderful to talk to. I'm so glad that we met. So we'll be seeing you around soon for sure. Good luck with Churchill opening up, David.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
David.
Have a good night. Bye.
Oh, he's awesome. Love him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I remember my interaction with him when I did the article on him with Kidney in Mind, and he was so forthcoming and easy to talk to. I could never close the deal to get him on the show. I don't know what happened there, but you did it. So
I got him. I went to New Orleans and I was like, "That's it. You're coming on the show." And I'm so glad
Keith
we made
Dersomo
that.
came up. Keith Dersomo's got a text in, so we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But at least we had David on the show. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful guest! I could literally talk to him all night. I only got through half of my questions, so we'll definitely have him back on.
There you go. Now do you save your papers for each guest?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I'm weird like that. I almost need a new notebook because I've almost got this one.
Oh, that's a big notebook. Wow.
I know. And we've got a wonderful comment here from Terry Hay. Great guest and interview, Jamie and Sean rock. Well, thank you, Terry. You rock. We love Terry around here. He's my favorite commenter. I know he's going to bring up Golden Gate Fields, and I look forward to it every show. All right, what else have we got going on, Sean?
So the guys will be back tomorrow. I'm not sure what track they're doing, but they'll be back tomorrow, 12:15, 12:30. Typical handicapping. And then obviously picks with the professor. You got baseball going on. You got NBA playoffs, stuff like that. And then next week, Julie and I will be back. Don't have a full schedule here. Monday, we'll have Belterra announcer Ed Meyer on.
Yes.
And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we're trying to get Kentucky Derby guest. They have hectic schedules, so it's going to be hard to do. And it also will probably be last minute, so we will see where we get with that.
So stay tuned. It's a surprise, right?
Yes.
It's a surprise even to us.
Yeah, and if we don't get Kentucky Derby guests, we'll pull somebody in last minute that will be a great guest because, as you can see, everybody in the horse racing, most people in the horse racing business are great guests.
Yes. And speaking of Kentucky Derby guests, Kiana Lord says Sonny Leon needs to join. We have had him on the show.
We have had him on. We had him on a little bit after the Derby, and he was a great guest. There was a little bit of he was a little nervous about it with the language, but he did great.
Yeah, absolutely. He speaks Spanish, right? We'll just have to have Willie come on again. He's our He's like, what are they called when you go bowling and you put up? He's our bumpers. That's
the
what
bumpers.
Yeah. He's there in case we need him, but most of the time we don't. But it gives people confidence. So
yeah, and that was Sonny's thing. He did great, but he was a little nervous about
Yeah, I love that show. That was a great show. All right, everyone. Well, that brings us wire to wire. Actually, I should say gate to wire. I saw this very interesting Twitter argument. Did you see?
Don't do it. Don't do it because I put wire to wire all the time on CPG social. So it's wire to wire. Don't confuse me now.
I was having so much fun reading through this. Guys, if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter. Just type in horse racing, follow horse racing Twitter. It is interesting.
My question and I call out all the Twitter people. Go ahead, put me on blast here. But why do we care what other people bet and everything else? Like, just
I know.
if somebody wants to bet a certain horse or people have certain strategies, it's their money. Leave them bet how they will. If you want to help them, sure. But blasting these people on how they bet or blasting everybody is just
90% of horse racing Twitter is just blasting, criticizing, nitpicking.
If we put all that effort into growing the game, if everybody was serious about growing the game and put all that effort in growing the game, we could do it.
Yeah.
So when people are interested in that, let's get together on Twitter and let's do that, and let's do it by numbers, and let's improve the game.
I don't know.
And the marketing. I should say the marketing.
Yes. I heard somewhere that Twitter is a bunch of angry old men yelling at each other, and it sounds right to me when I'm scrolling.
Now I feel like an angry man yelling too, an old angry man yelling too.
No, not you, Sean. You're like a beacon of positivity. And we have plenty of positive people on there, like Sean Patrick Nolan. He's like a light shining from above. But with those exceptions, if you just scroll through, just think angry old man, and you're going to see it 9 times out of 10, I promise. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to tune in, even though it might frustrate you. You have to go and you have to check it out.
Oh, I grab my popcorn. I have a good old time. You can't get involved. You can't take it seriously.
That's the hard part. That's the hard
people are
part.
whack jobs. You're going to see them say crazy stuff. Keep on scrolling. Just enjoy it. Just take it all in and be like,
we'll go on the last subject. Somebody saying about takeout. Takeout is not. If I ask somebody why they don't watch horse racing, takeout will not be brought up in the top 10 things. I can guarantee it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So that is not the problem.
No, it's not.
Odds changing at the last minute is a problem.
I agree with that one.
Takeout is not.
That's very confusing and frustrating for fans who think, oh, I'm getting a price. And then they're like, whoa, really? Never mind. Okay. Now I'll get back 20 cents if I win.
But everybody's I've taught with horse racing too. They don't understand the odds right away anyway. So it's very, very difficult.
We just need whatever they have in Australia. I still can't get over that show.
I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. I think we need like field trips. Like you and I can take a group of 20 people. You pay for us to go to the track with you, and we show you everything. We show you the horses, we show you the jockeys, we show you how to bet, and we stay with you the whole night.
Oh, I would do that all day, every day. That would be so much fun. Sign me up. If someone's willing to do this, I'm there.
Well, we would do it. We just need tracks approvals to do it. I would do it.
Absolutely. Well, we'll make it happen one of these days.
Yeah, one of these days.
We'll add it to our bucket list here on HRT.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, that brings us wire to wire, gate to wire, whatever you prefer here on Horse Center. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, follow, subscribe on all of the social media platforms. We are at Horse Race, the number 2 day. And that's pretty much it. Don't forget to show us some love. And we hope that we will see you there. But most of all, we hope that we will see you in the
Winner's Circle.
Winner's Circle. Good night, everyone. Have a good week.